In this video, I'm going to show you how you can write an equation for a line when you're given 2 points. Okay, so it says, write an equation for a line in slope-intercept form that passes through the following points, 12, 4, and 4, 12. Okay, so first let's go ahead and write what the slope-intercept form is, which is y equals mx plus b. In order to write an equation for a line, you need the slope and you need the y-intercept. Okay, so we're not given either of these in the question. We're only given 2 points. So we need to start figuring out what the slope is or what the y-intercept is. Let's start with the slope. When we have 2 points, we can use the slope equation, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and that is going to give us our slope. So we're going to use these 2 points, 12, 4, and 4, 12. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use this as the first point and this as the second point. The way that I decided that is the x is the smaller one in this point here. So I know that it would come first if I were to graph this line. What do I mean by that? Just very briefly, if I had 4, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just say 12 is right here, that's where this point would be. And then if I had 12, 4, it would be a little bit further down. And then 12, 4 would be here. So if I had a line going from left to right, 4, 12 would be the first point that you would hit. And then eventually you would hit the second point. So that's how I'm going to label it. I'm going to use 4, 12 as the first point, and I'm going to use 12, 4 as the second one. So I'm just going to write it like that, 4, 12 and 12, 4. Underneath it, I like to label them. So because I'm using this as the first one, this would be x1, y1. And because it's going to be a second point, I would label it x2, y2. Now we can go ahead and fill out our equation. So it's y2 minus y1, so 4 minus 12 over x2, 12 minus x1, which is 4. 4 minus 12 is negative 8. 12 minus 4 is 8. Negative 8 divided by 8 is equal to negative 1. So the slope is equal to negative 1. So if we go back to our equation, we have now found the slope, which is negative 1. Now we have to figure out what the y-intercept is. How do we do that? Well, if you have an equation, y equals mx plus b, and you know what the slope is, you can go ahead and insert the slope. If you have a point, you can go ahead and use that point and insert it for the x and the y. So for example, if I have 12, 4, that's an x and y point on the graph. So I can use 12 as the x and 4 for the y. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that. The y is going to be 4. X is going to be 12. And I don't know what b is. So by inserting this point, I'm going to be able to figure out what b is equal to. And that is what we're missing in our original equation. So let's go ahead and solve for b. Negative 1 times 12 is negative 12. And then we're going to go ahead and add 12 to both sides. B is going to be equal to 16. So the y-intercept is 16. So now that we have the slope and we have the y-intercept, we can go ahead and write the final equation. Y is equal to mx plus b. We're going to insert negative 1 for m, and then we're going to add plus 16 for the b. And we now have our equation for a line in slope, we now have our equation for a line in slope-intercept form. As a summary, what did we do? First, we wrote down the slope-intercept form. We were able to figure out what the slope was by using the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Once we were able to find the slope, then we were able to use the equation again and enter in the slope, and we were able to use one of the points as the x and the y. We were able to solve for b, and once we had the slope and the y-intercept, we were able to find our final equation. I hope this helped you in your studies, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.